certain the date, but oh yes, I think I do know. I think it must be around the 4th of February. I think. Is that right, Chris?
That is right.
So I usually know when I'm live because things come up on the screen. But oh, excuse me, nothing's come up on the screen yet. Oh, I just had a flash on my phone saying that we're live. So let's start again. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is, as usual, as always, standing to my right side. And I'd like to say good morning to you, Chris. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And this was the moment last week when I saw all of my puppies in the spirit world. I see nothing today. That doesn't mean they're not there. It just means that, uh, hey, there's nothing right now, but you never know. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. Excuse me. So, Chris, I know we're into Thursday, but how was your weekend last weekend?
Oh my, well, we had the snowstorm like I think much of the East Coast in the United States did. So it was a lot of indoor time spent, but we have a little kitty to play with, and I have a book I'm writing and helping you get your things done. So I kept busy.
You can't be. That's the secret, I think. When we're in lockdown, whether it's with COVID or whether it's with a snowstorm, whatever happens, if we stay busy, I think that is the secret to it, because then we don't have time to think about, sort of what's happening in the world, and is there really a world out there anymore? We don't have time to think about those things. My weekend was such a joyful weekend, I have to tell you, because of the snow. Um, my grandson was not on lockdown. He was out in the garden. They were building snowmen. He built two snowmen. He and his mum uh, built one snowman, except that it was sort of like a miniature. It wasn't one of the big giant snowmen that you see ordinarily in somebody's garden. It was sort of looked like, a little bit like a child snowman, a little boy snowman, as Reese would say. But then, fabulously wonderfully, we have this great neighbor. Samantha has this great neighbor who said, okay, he came in just as they were finishing off the small one, and he looked and he said, now for the big one. And he went out there with Samantha and with Reese, and they built an enormous, really fat, huge, huge snowman. Of course, we put the eyes, the carrots for noses, and the big snowman's got two hats on his head for some reason, and the little snowman's got a nice furry hat, which was one of Reese's old ones. Just watching them doing that, just watching Reese playing outside in the garden in the snow with his mummy and with the neighbour was so nice. It was such a lovely experience. And of course, you all know, don't you? I would have loved to have gone out there and shared that moment with my grandson, but there is no way I'm risking any sort of coughs and colds and so on. This, should I touch wood here? I'm touching wood. Can you see I'm touching wood? This year will be the second year, woohoo, that I have not had over the Christmas time, that I have not had my bronchial pneumonia or any kind of bronchitis or any kind of pneumonia. I've managed to stay healthy all through the holiday season. And so, by keeping myself sort of tucked up nice and snug and warm, um, hot chocolate makes a big difference. For those of you who are on Instagram, did you see my picture of hot chocolate? You know what we didn't have in that hot chocolate, which Reese and I put in a complaint about. We told the kitchen staff we are complaining that we did not have any of those little tiny baby marshmallows. So the kitchen staff have to go out shopping maybe later today. The kitchen staff, at the moment being my daughter, although when I'm here, I'm usually the kitchen staff. I do all the cooking and I do all the feeding of friends and neighbours. So we have a great time. So we had a really, really great time. With the snow, with the snowstorm, it was really brilliant. Again on Instagram, and I think it might have gone on Facebook also. Um, we did take a little, we being my daughter and I, we did take a little scene, a little video scene of the snow coming down outside the garden. And if you look there, I can't remember when we did it. Was the snowman already made? I can't remember. But then a couple of nights in a row, we've read stories to Reese about the snowman, and that's a great thing to do too. For all of you out there who are parents or grandparents, isn't this a fantastic time? Don't we see our parents? Don't we see ourselves in in I look at my daughter and the way she is with her son, and it just reminds me. She it must have reminded her as well, because later on that same day she was pulling out photographs of herself and me when I was, whenever that was. Well, she was 6, so I would have been whatever I was, at least 30 something. And we were out sledding in the snow, and looking at Samantha is just like looking at my grandson. So, and Reese looked at the photograph and he looked at me and he said, "Mosey, it doesn't look like you." And I thought, no, well, 40 years goes by very quickly. So I said to him, "Well, you know what's missing, don't you?" And he looked at me, he said, "What's that?" I said, "It's the wrinkles. The wrinkles are missing." So anyway, all right, Chris, do we have anyone there? Is there anybody there, Chris?
There are quite a few people here. Let's start with one thing right away, because I can see Janet Morris is saying today is her birthday.
Janet, oh, I wonder how old you are. You don't have to tell. I never tell. You don't have to tell. It's like when people ask you what the time is. If you don't want to answer, you look at your watch like this and you say, "Oh, look at that. It's 2 hairs past a freckle." So, however, whatever age you want to be, darling, it's your birthday. So you choose whatever age you want to be. Just remember, though, there's something sort of kind of nice, and we all of the as we get older and we've survived all of the trials and the tribulations of our lives, there is something to be said for being proud of being older and surviving and being a survivor. And I do have a story to tell about that today. Just remind me, Chris, later, a survivor story. All right. So let's, Chris, shall we go into that? So did I say happy birthday? Happy birthday to all of you out there who are having birthdays. My grandson's birthday is on Friday, the 12th of February, and he'll be 8. So I don't mind telling you his age. I was thinking, how much longer do I have in this life? And I know you'll think that I'm morbid thinking it, but actually I wasn't. I was thinking, I wonder how long I could last and how old my darling boy will be. And I just know that he is of an age now that if I popped my clogs right now, he would absolutely remember me. He'd have no trouble remembering me as he gets older. But obviously, of course, the older your grandchildren are, the more able they are to remember you. And I make sure to give Reese some fantastic and some phenomenal memories. That's what we do. All right, Chris.
Deborah says she's 58 and proud of it.
58 and proud of it. Oh my goodness, Deborah. I hope you are celebrating up a storm. I hope that you've made yourself a birthday cake. I hope you're doing all the things that you should be doing on your birthday. Don't be afraid to be a little bit selfish and do just what you want to do and eat just what you want to eat. And most of all, have fun. I do hope you've got your loved ones around you, even if it's only on Skype or Zoom or whatever else medium that you use. I do hope that you're having a great time. Great. Chris.
Sorry, I meant to say that was Janet. Deborah has the next question. So sorry, Janet.
Janet, Chris is getting older. It's sort of, what do they call it? They call it, what do they call it?
Old lady's disease? I don't know.
Something like that. Something like that. I don't have it yet, so I don't know what's going on. Okay, Chris.
All right, so here's Deborah this time for real. As my dad recently passed at age 90, does he have any messages for my family or my devastated mother?
Oh, sweetheart, I feel so sad for your mother. Here's a message from me for your mother. You know, imagine that someone lives to 90 years old. I know we never want to lose anyone, do we? But boy, oh boy, did he have a good life. 90 years he was on this earth, and all of those years that you were together. So please don't be devastated, my darling. Be joyful in the fact that you had those years, that you shared those wonderful years, and remember, you will see him again. So, again, I'm not sure that we're doing messages this morning. I know that lots of you are disappointed when I say that. And in fact, some of you actually you think, oh, well, she's not going to give anybody a message. There's no point in me being on today, which means that you miss out on a lot, because even if I don't give messages, there's always plenty to say, and there's always plenty of inspiration to be had from people's questions and from the answers that we get. Keep going, Chris.
Mark says, a general question.
Morning,
Rosemary,
Mark.
Rosemary, you always say that Gray Eagle stands to your right side. So, does my spirit guide Aldu stand to my right? If so, where does my brother G stand? We
Well,
all have
sorry, go ahead.
we all have a guardian, and you said I have this personal angel who is my brother whom I've not met. I often wonder. Any insight on this?
Well, it's very interesting, because how much do we talk about this today? There's so many things we talk about, and although this is a general question, it is an intriguing question for many people. It really depends on your energy flow. If your energy flow is left to right, or if it's right to left. In some ways, this is where soul signs will come in, because some of us are what I would call, or what Grey Eagle would call, a central energy. That means their energy naturally flows, and I'm talking about the spiritual energy that we have now. That energy, that central energy, naturally can flow either left or right in equal ways. Um, some of us have an energy that goes from right to left, and some of us have an energy that goes from left to right, depending on what kind of energy we have, what kind of energy our soul was created from. And so for me, it's in some ways it's a strange thing, but I tend to listen not just to Grey Eagle, but of course he's always there, but when I'm listening to the spirit world, if when I'm first hearing from the spirit, that's not right. I was going to give you a generalization, but I'm not allowed to. So when I'm connecting with Grey Eagle, it's always from the right. It's always from the right side. That energy flow from him to me is sort of coming in from that right side and flowing outward. And it's also a curiosity that usually when I see people in the spirit world, as I'm talking with Grey Eagle and as we're working, not always by any stretch of the imagination, but very often, that energy, when I'm connecting with people in the spirit world, I'm looking for people in the spirit world, I'm looking to my left. So actually the energy is flowing from right to left, but it's not a direct left on this side. It's more a direct left. It's a sort of like a forward left. That does not mean that I don't see people to my right, or to or in front of me. It does not mean that. But initially, when that energy starts to flow, and when we start to use our energy, or when our loved ones or our angels, whoever it is who's coming through, will come through initially to me, Grey Eagle from the right, and that energy flow will move forward and go, and my energy will capture initially those who are standing sort of in front of me, but just to the left of me. It's all about energy, and it's all about energy flow. A lot of it is about what kind of energy your soul is, what soul sign are you, and what pocket of energy was your soul created from. We are going to have a soul signs webinar at some excuse me, at some point. And we'll talk more about that. But it's not as easy to say, Mark, as you know. Well, where does my guide stand then? You are the ones. Any of you out there who have this sense, this feeling, this awareness, you know, it will come from one source very often more than from the other source. So it's up to you to decide where you hear best, where you listen best, where you sense best, where you feel, where that energy is flowing from you, and it's up to you to decide where that is. And once you decide and figure out where that flow is coming from, and what the pattern of your energy is, then you'll start to listen more. For instance, if I'm going to be talking to Gregor, I'm always leading to the right. I'm always sort of pushing my energy to the right so I can connect with him better. So it's up to you to figure it out, Mark. Sorry about that. There are no straightforward answers here. Chris?
Well, I love that question, Mark. But
It was a great question.
It makes me ask you something here, Rosemary. Remember
Uh-oh.
in Vermont when you did the courses having to do with art and painting?
Oh, yes.
And then you had the healers there, and you were trying to say to them, using your healing energy, or which side do you think your healing energy is coming in on, left or
Yes.
right? That ties very much into what you're saying here, doesn't it?
Very much so, yes. For those of you wondering what art course, it has been known from time to time. Now, you must understand, I am not an artist. I don't paint. I doodle. I like to doodle, and I love colours. But my creativity is in design more than art. However, when it comes to being inspired by our loved ones in the spirit world, when it comes to being inspired with any kind of art form, and especially with art, we used to, at the farm, we used to have um, options for people. And one of those options was an art course. And lots of people who were artists would come to this art course. That did not mean that because they had the talent for art that they knew what they were doing, because this is art in its different form. This is art through our soul speaking to us. This is art from our energy, from the energy source that we're created from. This is art inspired by and often directed by those in the spirit world, and using their energy and being inspired by their energy. And I have to tell you, we had some amazing results, right, Chris?
Absolutely.
And my job, uh, not as your art teacher in that case, but my job as your teacher, feeling energy, sensing energy, tapping into that energy, showing people out how to do that. And of course, those who did have some knowledge of art would produce some wonderful stuff. But those who had never drawn a thing in their lives and couldn't manage to even draw a stick figure, they were able to create some phenomenal, some beautiful stuff. And if any of you out there are listening who actually came to those sessions with us, or came to the farm with us, we'd love to hear from you, because we actually are asking people, write in your stories. We are getting some great stories coming in, I have to tell you. And in fact, while we're thinking about that, on Saturday, we will not be having story time as such, but I will be reading you a story. We're asking people, if you've had any knowledge of me, and you either came for a consultation with me, or you've had an experience with me, even if it's 20, 30 years ago, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear how that experience went. But if you've also had your own experience, we'd love to hear your stories too. So people are actually turning up out of the woodwork. It's been amazing for me. I read 3 stories yesterday, each of which had to do with, you know, in 1980 something or another, I came to Rosemary and she said this and that and so on. And I'm thinking, I did. And we had a lovely story from somebody who, when I was in Tenerife and I met this lady by the pool and I did not know who she was at that time. And so we're actually going to be reading these stories out because they're funny to me. Well, funny in a good way. And it's sort of taking me back to different places. My daughter looked at me. I was telling her. She said, "Did you ever go to Tenerife, Mum?" And I said, "Yes, darling. You went with me." She, "Oh, that was Tenerife. Yes, that was Tenerife." So if you have met me or had your own story that you would like to share, we would love to go down memory lane with you. And I love reading these stories from you all, and you're all being so nice to me. And I remember when, and she told me this. And so I thought we'd start and share these stories. So on Saturday morning, even though we will not be doing a Q&A, I will be telling a story. And that story, Samantha printed it out to me, is from Vicky. We're not going to mention Vicky's last name because of privacy issues and so on, although she did actually give us permission to use her name. So on Saturday, I'm going to tell you a story. It's Vicky's story. But when I tell my stories, sort of like having this bird's eye view into what it is like for other people, because I'm telling other people's stories through my eyes. Well, we're going to hear my story through other people's eyes. So it's going to be interesting and fascinating, right, Chris?
I think so. I mean, it was really fun reading the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very interesting. All right, let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah, let's start first with Cheryl. Her sister Karen needs healing. So we're going to put her in the healing book. She
Hi,
said
Cheryl.
she keeps falling. She's doing well with breast cancer treatments, but the falling is what's really getting to her right now.
Okay, okay.
All
Well,
right.
we
Then
definitely will. Cheryl would definitely send healing to your sister. Can you just keep us posted? Just email chris@rosemaryaltea.com and just keep us posted on how she's doing, would you? Because we will be sending her healing every day. Okay, Chris.
all right. So Colleen's asking if there really is reincarnation or souls come back to earth to do more work. How can they always be available in the spirit world to come through to you?
Oh, well, I like that question. Well, Colleen, it's a very good Irish name. I don't know where you're calling from, but love the name. So good morning to you, and I love the question too. You know, many years ago, I was in Hong Kong, and a man came to see me for a consultation. He heard about me, he was curious, and so on. And as we were talking, he was of a religion where they sincerely believe that the moment you have passed into the spirit world, you are then immediately reincarnated into something else. But now he came to see me, and his father had died something like 10 years before, and yet there he was. So this is goes to your question, I think. So there he was standing in front of me, talking to me, telling me about his son. And I described him in detail and said some things about me. And this guy looked at me and he said, "Well," he said, "but that's my father. But how can you talk to him when he's reincarnated?" Well, not everybody chooses to come back here to this earth to do this again. And I think the majority of people do not necessarily come back here. We've got lots of options, There are lots of things that we can do. There are lots of places that we can travel to, and certainly for instance, when it's my time to go, for my daughter's lifetime and for my grandson's lifetime, I'm going to be watching them. I'm going to be watching over them because it is, after all, my choice. So when we go to the spirit world, we do have a choice. Do you want to come back here and do this all over again? or do you want to have the experience of other things, different things? And my choice, absolutely, until my daughter and my grandson, until it's their time and I can welcome them, I'm not going to come back here and be a butterfly or a bug or a beetle or anything like that. I'm not even going to come back here and be the most beautiful model on the earth or the most talented musician or the most talented movie star. I'm staying where I am because I feel that part of my role in life is to stay and take care and watch over my darlings. So, and again, unless Grey Eagle says to me, or unless some really sort of knowledgeable person says to me, look, we really need you to do this, I'm staying put. That's my decision. I'm not going to come back here. And if it is my choice, which I firmly believe that it is, I'm not coming back to this earth to be reincarnated here anyway, period, even if I didn't have my daughter or my grandson. So don't think I'm being selfish when I say I'm staying for them. They're my selfish reasons. That's they're mine. But if it even if I were not going to stay around to watch them and to take care of them, um, there are so many other places to see. There's so many other places to be aware of, and unless my role is to do something different, I'd like to explore a bit, certainly before I decide to spend another lifetime somewhere else. So, I, did I answer your question? Did I confuse you completely? We don't have to reincarnate. It is our choice to do it or not. Simply our choice. Chris, let's keep going, shall we? Oh gosh, just put light in my eyes. Is that better? Can you see me better? I've suddenly realised I've got no. I'm not in the light.
You're suddenly showing up on Broadway.
let me put the light on. Let me shine a light here. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to be terrible with this name, and I apologize ahead of time. Mahuampi.
Okay.
Asking,
Well,
can
good
you
morning.
talk to my father?
At another time, maybe on another day, perhaps yes, but we want to. Okay, one of the reasons that we're holding back on this is that we are arranging a webinar workshop. In that workshop, Grey Eagle and we are going to be talking to the spirit world. In other words, we're going to be spending as much time as possible talking with the spirit world, giving messages to people from their loved ones in the spirit world. We're not quite sure how this is going to work, but if it works out really, really well, which we're keeping our fingers crossed and hoping for, we should be doing these perhaps on a monthly basis. When we're doing a show like this, first of all, it's only an hour long. Second of all, lots of people are checking in and have lots of different questions. Sometimes when I give a message from the spirit world, it might take a minute or two, and sometimes it might take 10 minutes or so. So we are going to be producing and working on, within the next couple of months, we're going to be working on getting a webinar set up for you all. Now, if you are on my mailing list, you will automatically get a newsletter letting you know that this is happening. If you are a regular visitor to my website, which is, I'm going to suggest that that is exactly what you do. If you are a regular visitor to my website, then you will see immediately that we're up, that this has been organized, at which point, if you are interested in doing this, please book straight away, because we're limiting the amount of tickets and they will go quickly. We know that. So I shall be giving messages from the spirit world for maybe a couple of hours, and that's what we'll be doing. We'll be doing it non-stop for a couple of hours, and I can't promise that every single person who joins will get a message, but if we do this on a regular basis, then your chance will come. It's obvious that you will get, that the more we do this, the more people that we will reach. So this is what we're doing. So you know, we haven't fixed the date yet. When I get back to Florida, I'm leaving on Friday. I'm traveling on Friday, which is why we will not be having our regular Q&A story time on Saturday, but there will be a story time which we'll be putting out for you both, for you all. But if as soon as I'm back in Florida, we will be fixing that date, and as soon as we have that date, we will put it on our website. Again, Rosemary at rosemaryaltea.com, all one, word.
RosemaryAltea.com.
Oh,
The other
excuse
was
me.
your email.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. See, I've got it wrong. If you keep checking on my website, rosemaryaltea.com, right? Just straight through. Go there. You'll see all sorts of things going on. We'll put all sorts of stuff up there. But as soon as we have this decided, the date decided, we'll put it up. And tickets, as soon as we put it up, tickets will be available. If you are interested, you've got to be the one to watch. We're not going to, we'll send out a newsletter. We'll send out, if you're on our mailing list, you will immediately get the newsletter. But you can't expect me to get in touch with every single person who we think might want a ticket. So we have to do it this way. You're the ones who have to be vigilant, and you're the ones who are responsible to keep checking to get your tickets sorted out. So you could hear anytime by the end of next week or even sooner. Keep checking. As soon as they're up, you can book your ticket. It will not be an extortionate amount of money, that I can promise you. It will not be hundreds of dollars by any means. So, keep checking. Go there because we're excited about it. I know that Greg was excited about it. And we'll be doing as many messages as we possibly can from those in the spirit world. Chris, do you have anything to say about that or want to add anything to that?
Oh, I think I'm more excited than anybody. I mean, geez, seeing you doing these live shows over the years, I always hate to call them shows, but in person giving messages and just seeing the transformation on people's faces and knowing a lot of healings happening is just thrilling for me.
Right. You will, if I can also say for what we're planning on doing, we are hoping that for those of you who want to have a visual can go on screen with me, even if it's only for a few minutes. If you don't want to do a visual, then you can speak to me and I'll hear your voice, which is, either being with me or me hearing your voice is really a huge key to being able to connect with your loved ones quickly and easily, because it's about energy. Remember, those in the spirit world don't know me, but they do know you, and they recognize your voice. And as they hear your voice, and as they hear the sound of your voice, they'll connect in with your energy much stronger, much more powerfully. So that helps us. If you don't want to do either the screen or you don't want to speak out your question, well, that's okay too. You can do it. We will have a chat room and you can do it on the chat room as well. So there'll be different options for you to use, but I'm giving you a heads up. These tickets will go quickly. So, just please be aware. We shall be holding some tickets back for perhaps maybe if we feel that someone has a special need to do this, but for the main part, the tickets will go very quickly. Yes, Chris.
All right. So, we still have a lot of questions in the chat room that have to do with you connecting with a loved one.
Okay.
So am I just going to ask you generic questions that people have posted?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Robin says,
Hi,
you
Robin.
come with a birth certificate, although no expiration date. Do you want to comment on that?
What? Read that to me again.
You come with a birth certificate, although no expiration date.
Well, yes, I think I know what you mean. You mean the date of your birth is decided prior to you being born here to this earth plane, which is accurate. This is how I was able to predict to the second, I might tell you, the the date, the time, the seconds that my own grandson would be actually popping out of his mummy's tummy. And when it happened, my daughter, she had a cesarean. When he took his first breath, she had the exact time that I had said way prior to his being born. And as she heard his first breath, she looked at the clock, which was a big clock overhead, and well, can you guess? Yes, of course, it was exactly the time that I had given to her, exactly to the second, the time that I knew that my darling boy would be born, that he took his first breath. Now then, it is also written. I like to say that we all come with a big book, and our time of birth to this earth is written down, and our time of passing is also written down. So we come with a big giant book, and the time that we are about to pass is also written down. Now you may not see it, there's no certificate to see it, but this is why I always say to people, you cannot pass before your time. You can have any kind of sickness at all and beat the odds because it isn't your time. It simply isn't your time. It is not necessarily the sickness that kills you, that takes you from us. It is those in the spirit world who take you because it's your time. And although it's sort of hard to wrap our head around that sometimes, this is why I say to people, especially with COVID going on and all of this other stuff going on, just because it's out there doesn't mean you're going to die. Will it be your time? The answer is likely no. You might get sick. None of us like to get sick, but you might get sick or not. You might have cancer. You might have a brain tumor. You could have anything at all. You hear of people living. I mean, I've told this story before. A man is given 5 years to live, and 20 years later, he's still there, still going. But it's about the attitude in so many ways, And again, the spirit world, when they write in your book, they know the kind of person you are. They know the kind of person that you're going to be. So, talking earlier, I think I mentioned victims and survivors, and there is somebody that I know who lives fairly close, who has had COVID. This person was sick for about 3 days. Now, we do know, don't we, that there are people who are sick with COVID for months, and many have passed with COVID. So this particular person was sick for 3 or 4 days, and was up and walking about and taking medications, yes, but has now joined a COVID support group, has now gone down this I'm a long hauler. I think they're calling it I'm a long hauler, and so on. I personally have had COVID. I was sick not just for a few days, I was sick for 3 or 4 months. And I'm a survivor. And I'm a survivor because I am determined that I am not going to be a victim. Now, I know that it's very, very hard for so many people, especially if you're a person who is a negative person anyway, to sort of, it's hard for you to stop yourself going down that road of being a victim. But the more you dwell on what has happened, and the more you get yourself sort of anxious and worked up about it, the more of a victim you'll become. So I think we should start a campaign here, Chris. I think we should start a campaign of encouraging people to be survivors, no matter what has happened to you in your life. Make sure that the future becomes more important than the past. The past can be what happened to you yesterday. It can be what happened to you 20 years ago, 30 years ago. The past is the past. It can be what happened to you hours ago. At some point, as you're visiting your past, at some point as you're thinking about your past, at some point as you are allowing yourself to be affected by what has happened in the past in a negative way, at some point, can we remind ourselves that the future is far more important to us than the past? We learn from the past if we're lucky. We take the lessons from the past if we're lucky, and we take them into our future. And the future might be the next minute, or it might be the next hour. The future is what happens next to us. We can be a victim or we can be a survivor. I've had this conversation recently with someone who's very close to this lady who has decided in her own mind that she is a victim. You know, we can all love the victim role. Let's face it. If we are the victim role, we don't have to do any cleaning anymore, especially if there's somebody who loves us who says, no, you sit down, I'll do that for you, because obviously you're too sick. Or like me, I would be, get your butt off that chair and let's get moving. I'm a tough cookie. I try very hard to force people into working towards surviving rather than falling into that role of victim. So what do you think of this, Chris? Am I right about this, or am I not right about this? And
Oh,
we'd love to hear
you're
from all of you out there
you're
too.
100% right. And I'm also thinking of, you know, when you look at little toddlers, there are some toddlers who need attention, and they'll either try to get attention by doing something great and wonderful, or they'll try to gain attention from, you know, spilling the blocks. So some of us, when we get sick and we fall down to that victimhood, we're kind of like that toddler. We'll take attention any way we can.
Yeah. And it's understandable, because when you're sick, you do really, well, I actually personally, I'm a weird person. When I get sick, I don't want anybody's attention. Stay away. I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it myself. I'm much better off. And anyway, who wants to be around someone who's moaning and groaning and complaining that they're in pain, or they don't feel very well, or I've got a headache? I'm one of those people. I don't want to be around a person like that. So if you want my attention, be a survivor. You know, that's what I'm saying, because the attention that people get when they overcome some really, really tough thing that happens to them, the attention that they get may not be so overt, but believe you me, there are people who are looking at you and saying, wow, she did good, or good for him. You know, people have awful depressions. I know someone who I was having a conversation with 2 days ago, who was in a very deep depression, knew that he was in a deep depression, and fought his way through it because he was determined he did not want to be a victim. That's remarkable. And now, if he ever wants to talk to me, he's got my full attention, because I admire him and I admire what he did. It is not easy. Nobody's saying it's easy. It is not easy to get out of this awful depression that people are in. It's not easy to get out of the negativity, but also it's not impossible either. Chris.
I'm going to go back to Janet because she's got a question I think a lot of people want to
Janet, it's
hear.
your birthday. Ask me anything like.
Well, her comment is, please tell my mom and dad that I love them and miss them terribly, as if she couldn't tell them herself.
Yes, and this is what I do want to reiterate here. You know, well, I think Janet knows anyway that she can tell them herself. But I do have a lady. I said I wasn't going to do this, but anyway, it's your birthday. I do have a lady standing next to me, who, with a beautiful smile, she was quite sick prior to her passing, and standing next to her is a gentleman who's a bit taller than her, had problems with his chest, lungs or something, and breathing, I think. Not entirely sure about that, but anyway, look, Janet, I've said I'm not doing this, but it's your birthday. So I have these two lovely people who are with you, blowing kisses. They hear you, my love. They hear you. They see you. They know that, you know, you're going through a bit of an unsettled time right now. Let's face it, who of us is not going through an unsettled time right now? Your lovely mum here is asking me to, is she asking you, or is she telling you? She's telling you, light a candle. Not a candle for us, light a candle for you, as we are doing, because you are the light of our lives. So with that said, Janet, Happy birthday to you from them. Happy birthday to you from them. Happy birthday from all of those in the spirit world to all of you out there who have a birthday, but especially Janet to you. You see what happens when you persevere. And when you do it in such a positive way, how can I resist you? How can they resist you? Gregor is so nice, isn't he? Let them pop in there. There I was thinking, I'm not going to do that this morning. See, this is why, just because I say I'm not giving messages, don't give up, because I'm not in control, as you can see clearly. Yes, Chris.
Mahuampi
Yep,
says, if my father speaks Spanish, is he able to communicate with you?
that's a really great question. And the answer is an absolute definite yes. Because the language, now here's something for you, excuse me. Here's something for you to all think about. Okay, the language that we have, that we use in the spirit world, is it's a language actually all of its own. I've tried to explain it in the past to people, but it really defies explanation. Grey Eagle is a great interpreter. So, but sometimes when I'm hearing that person's voice and they don't speak my language, they don't speak English, and I don't speak Spanish or Russian or Italian or whatever it is that might be they might be speaking, we do understand each other because there is a language that goes beyond actual speech. There is a language that goes beyond those languages that separate us in our world. So it goes above and beyond the actual, you know, cultural language that each of us has. So I find that really interesting. However, talking of language, we are getting one or two people actually volunteering, and we are so grateful. If we don't get back to you straight away, please be patient with us. We have asked for people who think they might be able to volunteer from time to time, or uh, maybe you would, you have. You are a translator and you do this professionally. I know that there are a lot of people who would like to book appointments with me, but won't do it because I don't speak their language. But if you get a translator, and a really good translator, which happens much more than you would think. Just recently, we had a translator who was Italian, wonderful woman, did a fabulous job. We've got her name for you on the website. We do not charge for this, but the translator may well charge for this, and in fact should charge a fee for this, because after all, they're giving up their time and their energy, and it's a job for them. But that is between you and them. We will recommend, we will put names up there. We have someone at the moment who speaks what is it, Italian and Japanese. We also have someone who has just connected with us who speaks French. So we're inviting people to translators. If you would like to be one of those, we're very happy to pass your names on, but we will not get involved in the business side of things. We do not get any money for this. We do not get a percentage of any money for this, and whatever business agreement you come to with someone, if they charge you for whatever time, that's between you and them. We do not get involved, but we will see if we can find people for you and try and recommend people that you might want to contact, and then it's over to all of you. Chris.
Okay, Betta's on.
Morning, Betta.
The other day, while I was putting on my makeup, I felt like a hand caressing me on my head. And from the mirror, I saw my hair become electric.
Oh,
In your
nice.
opinion, what could it be?
Well, come on, Betta, you know what it is. How nice you had that fantastic experience. Very often, uh, um, well, I'll tell you a little story. A lady came to see me years ago, and her husband, all the time we were talking, her husband was standing beside her. He was from the spirit world, and he was standing beside her. And every now and again, he would sort of stroke her cheek, or he would touch her hair, or he would, sort of put his hand on her shoulder or whatever it was. And so from time to time, what I would say to her, your husband is stroking your face, he's touching your hair, whatever he was doing, I was trying to show her that he was, how close he was to her and how much he was still a part of her life. And at one point, she looked at me and she said, you know, Rosemary, it's all very well, but she said, you know, why can't I feel him then? Why can't I feel his hand on my cheek? Why can't I feel his hand on my shoulder? And Gregor smiled and said to me, well, you can tell her it's because she doesn't believe that she can. If you believe it and you understand it and that's what's happening, then you're more likely to open yourself up. But if you say, oh no, I can't do that, you've immediately shut the door. You've immediately pulled down the barrier. It's because she believes that she can't, is what Gregor said to me. And if you don't believe it, then it's not going to happen. Better. I'm thrilled for you. I'm excited. Chris.
Maria says, hello from Arizona.
Hi,
My
Maria from Arizona. I love Arizona. It's one of my favorite places.
my mother, not my mother, my brother talks very highly of you, and I'm honored to hear from you.
Wow. Well, what did he say? What did your brother say? How do I know him? Do I know him? Did I ever meet him? What's going on here? I love Arizona. I've been to Arizona a few times. I've been fortunate enough to. I went with a friend the first time I went. We were like, you know, there's an old movie called Thelma and Louise where these two girls get in a car and it happens to be a convertible, and they get in this car and they end up driving themselves off of a mountaintop. But it's a funny movie. It's a great movie. And I went with my friend and I rented a convertible, a Mustang convertible, my favorite car of all time. I wish they didn't charge so much for insurance. Anyway, there we are. But it was a Mustang convertible. We went everywhere in that car, and we even went along the Apache Trail, which is outside of well, you know, you can find it out for yourselves. My brain has gone blank for a minute there. Oh, look, it's Alzheimer's. It's Alzheimer's. It's old timers. And I'm having a senior moment. Anyway, Phoenix, there, got it. So we drove in this car and we drove down the Apache Trail, and this was before they changed it and altered it, before man got involved and did those awful things to that phenomenal and beautiful Apache Trail. They paved it and anyway, they made it safe. Now when we drove down there, my friend and I, wasn't really safe at all. We had a blast there. Why am I telling you this? I love Arizona. I'd love to know who your brother is. How does he know me anyway? Come on, you've got to give us the rest of the story here. Chris.
Amy says, I think you know when a message is for you. I get goosebumps when I hear certain words or phrases. What you need to know will always come your way.
And who is this saying this, giving this to us?
Amy.
Amy. I agree 1,000%. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. You do know, if you are used to connecting, if you are used to raising your level of consciousness, if you are used to fine tuning your senses, which of course my students all know what I'm talking about, but perhaps many of you don't. But this is in our classes. This is what we try to do. This is what we're going to be trying to teach people in our future webinars. We're going to be having lots of courses, maybe some 6-week courses, maybe just some, you know, sort of weekly things going on. We're definitely going to be teaching people more about healing, how you can heal yourself and how you can then in fact heal others, or give healing to others, I should say. But we're going to be doing all of that. But first and foremost, you do have to learn to raise your level of consciousness to a point where your senses do kick in. But yes, whatever you need comes to you. God doesn't always give us what we want. When people come for a consultation with me, I'll often say, look, you may not get what you want, but you always get what you need. And God always gives us what we need. Chris.
Jeff was commenting when you were talking about Vermont, saying the farmland was amazing. Putting the roof on the little house on the hillside was an awesome weekend. Good helpers and amazing meals.
Well, yes. Well, Jeff knows that we were not, his wife Andrea and I, we were not the roofers by any means, but we had a whole team of people. We had some wonderful, wonderful guests who Jeff brought to us, some wonderful Native Americans. We had a blast. We had our own volunteers from Vermont and from different places. And then we had Andrea and myself. We were the kitchen people. We were in charge of the food, and we had an awful lot of people to feed over several days. And boy, oh boy, Andrea did a phenomenal job. We peeled more potatoes than I care to think about right now, than I care to remember, but we gave good food to an awful lot of people over that. I think it was a 4-day weekend that we had. Jeff, right? Are you listening, Jeff? We already said we want people to write in and tell their experiences. You can't have it too long because I have to read it out. But come on, I know you've got lots of experiences you could write in about, and I'd love to read them. That's for sure. All right. I hope you're still enjoying that darling little girl of yours. Right. Keep going, Chris.
Denise says, do you believe in the energy from stones? And do you have contact or ever met a star being, meaning aliens? And are they close to the earth?
Have I ever met what?
Star beings or aliens.
Okay, I do certainly believe in the energy of stones. If anybody has been fortunate enough, as I have been, to go to Stonehenge now, years ago, you could go to Stonehenge, you could walk around the stones, you could touch them, you could do anything you liked with them. Now the whole thing is cordoned off. Understandably, I think, because you know, people tramping all over the place does kind of destroy things, and what have you. So I do understand why they've cordoned it off, and people are not really allowed now to go and touch the stones and what have you. But there is tremendous energy from stones. It's the same energy that people have in crystals. There's tremendous energy in crystals, different types of energy in crystals. A lot of people use crystals for their healing work, and I can see absolutely why. So there's, in everything you touch, in the leaf on a tree, in a branch, it doesn't matter what it is, there is energy within everything. Everything is energy. Everything is about energy. We are all about energy. Now, as to the second question, have I ever seen a star being or an alien? Well, depends what you mean by that. So I'm going to leave that question unanswered, because different people, see things differently. What you might consider an alien, I might consider to be just a normal part of daily life. So moving on, Chris.
Okay.
I know that you're itching, aren't you, to ask another question about what I just said. You're itching to go deeper or further with it, but I'm not going to.
Actually, I'm not.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's not like you. You usually have a very healthy curiosity about things.
Oh, I've already got my belief system on that, so I'm good with that.
Okay.
Stevie says, I'm new here. My friend referred me to you because I've been really wanting to receive a message from my loved ones for a long time now. I heard you say that you won't be doing readings today, but I'd love to know how to go about getting one.
Okay. First of all, I know. Look, years and years and years ago, forever ago, everybody would call what mediums did, the messages that they gave, they would call them readings or refer to them as readings. That implies to me that we are reading your mind, or somehow reading something into the energy. So I'd like to be just really, really clear, even though on story time, wonderful Vicky refers to coming to me for a reading, because that's how most people refer to it and most people understand it. But I do consultations. And the reason I call it a consultation is because I don't read anybody's minds. I don't read the mind of those in the spirit world. I don't read the mind of the person who comes to me for messages or to make contact with the spirit world. I actually talk to those in the spirit world. We have conversations. We have consultations. I ask them things, they give me information. I talk to Grey Eagle, he gives me information. I'm able to connect one-on-one with those in the spirit world, and so we can have conversations, real conversations. Now, how do you go about doing this? You can, Chris, how does he go? But what is the best way if anybody wants to have a consultation with me? What is the best way that they go about it?
Well, first of all, bookmark rosemaryaltea.com. That's Rosemary's website. If you go to the FAQ page, information about consultations is written right there. But you would eventually end up emailing the office, and I will send you back information on available dates and any questions you have and methods. We can work through email on that.
So you can either go to the website, as Chris is suggesting, or you can email Chris, Kris, email Chris. Make sure you put in the subject line, consultation, reading, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. You can use your own term, doesn't matter. We'll know what you mean. And put that in the subject line so that when Chris sees an email come in and she knows it's for a consultation, when she sees that, she will put it in a certain file to be addressed when she addresses other similar things. So it helps her to sort out which emails need addressing immediately, as in few minutes ago, or as in 5 minutes time. So and just tell us, just say, can you send me information about a consultation, and we will absolutely do just that. There is a bit of a waiting list, but we often have I'm saying cancellation. We don't often have cancellations, but we do from time to time. And sometimes I'll say, instead of working this day and this day, let's work this day and another day as well. So that gives us openings. So, but you probably will have to wait a little while, but hopefully not too long, because we try to get people in as quickly as we can. So in the meantime, I do hope you're enjoying what you're hearing, because there's a lot to learn. And I think that just having the sense from Grey Eagle, young man, that you're a person who wants to learn and you want to grow in a spiritual way. So you're already interesting me big time. My antenna is up here. So anyway, all right, keep going, Chris.
Well, so it's afternoon here, so I'll give you one more. Robert says, "Hi, Rosemary. I emailed you regarding the chapter of the strangled lady in your book, The Eagle and the Rose.
Yes.
I'm just messaging you, wondering, will you be reading it or talking about it to your audience anytime soon?"
Well, Robert, you're from Ireland, I think. Is he from Ireland? Anyway, I was talking to Chris about you yesterday. We were actually going to read the story, and it is an interesting story, and I will absolutely be reading the story or talking about that story at some point. And there will be questions. You can ask any questions about that if you would like to. We'd love to have your questions beforehand if you'd like to also. But you floored us a little bit, because you went on to say, first of all, you said, would I read the chapter on Maud? I went through, the only thing I could find was Maudie, and I wasn't sure if there was another story about a Maud. But you also said, could we talk about rescue work? They are two different things, and I couldn't understand. I have to tell you, Robert, I couldn't quite understand why you would bring in rescue work with Aunt Maudie or the strangled lady, as you said, or if it's a separate issue that you'd like to chat about. We would, any suggestions from anybody, but Robert, for you from me, I should be definitely reading that story again. I'm curious as to why you want to read that particular one, but I do find it fascinating myself. So definitely be reading that. We'll be definitely taking questions about that. And at some point, I will also be talking about rescue work. If you could email us back or messages, whatever you want there, and just let us know, were the two supposed to go together? Because I said to Chris just yesterday, were your ears burning, Robert? We were talking about it yesterday. I said to Chris, can you find out if it's both things he wants, if he thinks that the one is connected to the other or not? Because I couldn't see where they were, but maybe you see something differently than I do. So there you have it. You see, we haven't forgotten about you. We do. Chris is amazing. She checks every email and replies to every email. Right, Chris.
So do you want to go on? It's 12:05, Rosemary.
Oh, let's have a couple more questions, quick questions. Oh, I didn't know it was that time.
I know it goes
How
by
did we get
fast.
to be that fast?
So Denise is asking, do you know what a good crystal for contact to make for the spirit world?
No. Crystals are very personal. You go and you choose your own if it feels right to you and you feel the energy, but it's a question of connecting your energy to their energy. But I would never use a crystal to connect with the spirit world personally. I have no need to. So that floors me a little bit. That question just confuses me a tiny bit. But when you're going to choose a crystal, if it's for self-healing or if you just like it, or if it's you want to use it for healing with other people, just go feel it. It'll feel right. Chris.
Amy wanted to know information about your center in Vermont. So all I can say is it is not there any longer.
No, our centre in Vermont, we had it for quite a long time. I'm not in Vermont anymore, so I'm afraid I'm not going in the cold. Chris, you're in the cold, right? You're in the snow and the ice. Oh, wait a minute. I'm in New York right now. I'm in the snow and the ice, but I'm leaving on Friday. So I'm going back to the sunshine. But thank you, Amy, for asking that question. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We love having you. We want to have your stories. We love the fact that we have people from all over the world, including all over the US. We love the fact that you are supportive, that you watch us, that you're curious about us, that you want to know more. And so therefore, we're going to be doing more for you. So watch this space. Remember, as I said, to keep watching the website, rosemaryaltea.com. It's a very simple, easy website to maneuver, and there's all sorts on there that you might find interesting. All right, so we're having to go because actually later on, Chris and I are recording a story from Vicky. Thank you very much, Vicky. Robert, just so you know, we were going to record the strangled lady for the story on Saturday, but we couldn't figure out the rescue bit, so I decided we'd read this one instead. But there'll be other times. So we will be here at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday, but there'll be no question and answers. But do go check in. You'll love to hear this. I'm seeing it from Vicky's eyes. It's Vicky's story from Vicky's eyes, and she says some things about me too, which did make me chuckle. So I'll be reading that on Saturday for anybody. And also on my journey, I'll be checking in on Instagram. And that will go straight to Facebook. So I'll be checking in, doing little snippets. Here I am now, and here I am now, and look what I'm eating at the moment. I mean, whatever it is that I decide to do, I'll be checking in and sending stuff to Instagram and to Facebook. So do keep a check on me on my journey south. And in the meantime, please, all of you, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Chris, for all of the hard work that you do. And a special thanks to Great Eagle, who just amazes me every single time. He does things that are unexpected, and I love it, love it, love it. He's laughing at me as I'm saying that. Please, all of you, have a very blessed rest of the day. Have a very blessed rest of the week. And for those of you who want story time, I'll see you on Saturday. Please, all of you, stay safe, stay warm if you can, and cozy up if you can't. Make sure there's lots of hot chocolate in there. Raise your level of consciousness, get cozy and just tune in and put on some nice music or a good movie. That's a way to connect with our loved ones in the spirit world, who, when you do that, will sort of just cozy up right around you to keep us all safe. In the meantime, thank you once again. Bye bye, everybody.